Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to another session of Perspective 360 Degree, where we do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. And as a part of today's session, we are going to talk about the Human Development Index, which has been released as a part of Human Development Report. So basically, we all know about development. Development basically means improvement, improvement in the people's quality of life. This is something that we understand as a part of development. Now, Human Development Index is something that basically measures this development with the help of different type of parameters. For example, the life expectancy, for example, the education, for example, the standard of living. We are going to talk about all these parameters, all these components as a part of this session, and then we will see what this HDI is all about and what are the different steps that can be taken by India in order to improve its HDI in future. Fine, so this is going to be the agenda with respect to today's session. Now, this is our expected question for today, that what are the key components of HDI and how India can improve its HDI for better human development. You have to write the answer to this question within 400 words, and if you are able to write it within 48 hours, then your answer is also going to get evaluated. I hope it is clear to you. Now moving forward, let us see that what is the introduction that we can write as a part of this answer. Fine, so I hope the question is clear to you, that what is HDI and what are the steps that can be taken by India in order to improve its HDI in future. So in the introduction itself, we are going to talk about the HDI only. So as I told you, that HDI is a composite statistical measure developed by UNDP. It has been developed by United Nations Development Program in order to evaluate and rank countries based on their level of social and economic development. Now, what are those different type of things that come under the social and economic development? This is something that we are going to understand very soon. Fine, but on the basis of this, the different countries are ranked as a part of the HDI. Now this SDA was developed by Pakistani economist Mehboob ul Haq, and this index uses different type of indicators within each dimension, and which are then combined to form a comprehensive index, and each dimension yields an individual dimension index, and these indexes are then aggregated to form the final SDI score. Now how does it work? Let me tell you. So basically there are three dimensions that are taken as a part of Human Development Index. Now as a part of this dimension, through this dimension, what do we have? Through this we have different kind of indicators, and for this indicators, what do we use? We also use the dimension index, fine, which is calculated based on this indicators only, and we do this for all three type of categories. Fine, for category 1 under, also category 2 also, and category 3 also, and based on this we have this different kind of indicators through which we calculate the dimension index for each of them, and based on that, what we calculate the final Human Development Index. Now I hope it is clear to you, but in order to have more clarity, just look at this picture. This is what I have been talking about. So basically these are the dimensions, the three dimensions. The first is long and healthy life, the second is knowledge, and the third is decent standard of living. As a part of long and healthy life, we have this indicator, life expectancy at birth. As a part of knowledge, we have the two indicators. The first is expected years of schooling, and the second is mean years of schooling. And the third one is, as a part of decent standard of living, we calculate the GNI per capita. Now once the indicators are known, once we know that these specific indicators, they indicate the specific aspect of human development. Now based on these indicators, what we calculate the dimension index. What is dimension index? It is nothing but the standardized numerical scores. These are the standardized numerical scores that are basically derived from these indicators only, and they are basically normalized. We basically normalize the value of indicators between the minimum and the maximum values as provided by the UNDP, and based on that, what we calculate this life expectancy index, the education index, and GNI index. Now once this dimension index have been calculated, based on them we calculate the final score of HDI. The final score of HDI is calculated, and which is basically on the basis of which the different countries are ranked. So I hope it is clear to you that what are the different components of HDI, and based on what factors the score of HDI is calculated within the range of 0 to 1. Minimum number is 0 and the maximum is 1 as a part of the HDI scoring. I hope it is clear to you. Now moving forward, let us talk about what has been the India status with respect to the recent HDI report. Then over here, what do we have? First of all, if we talk about the rank of India, fine. Now, in the previous report, India's rank was 133, but in the most recent report, India's rank has moved up 3 spots to rank 130. So from 133, we are reaching 130, which is showing some kind of, I would say, modest improvement as a part of HDI. Fine. Now the next thing, if we talk about the category in which India lies, so India basically remains in the human, I would say, medium human development category, which basically indicates that we still have a scope of improvement. We still have a scope of improvement with respect to different parameters. We will talk about it later on, that what are those type of parameters that have been highlighted as a part of HDI where India needs to work upon. But since India is categorized under the medium human development category, so that's why we can say that we have scope of improvement. Fine. So that is the idea. Now if you talk about that, what has been the idea or what has been the output with respect to the 3 parameters on the basis of which the human development index is calculated with respect to India, of course. Fine. So if you talk about the life expectancy, then India life expectancy has reached 72 years in 2023, which has marked the highest since the index began. Fine. So it has been improved drastically. Here we have shown a good improvement. The second parameter, which is schooling. Now regarding schooling, the average mean years of schooling in India is 13 years. If I remember correctly, then in 1990 it was 8.2 years. So from 8.2 years, you can see I have written it over here also, that from 8.2 years we have reached to 13 years. This is our present average mean years of schooling, which is, I would say, a good improvement. The third is the national income. Then India's gross national income per capita rose over 4-fold from USD 2167 in 1990 to 9046 in 2023, based on 2021 purchasing power parity. Of course, it is calculated based on the PPP, because PPP, why PPP? You must be thinking that why do we calculate it based on the PPP? Because PPP basically it allows for adjusting it with respect to the international standards. We can use it for international comparisons, and that is the reason basically we calculate it in terms of PPP, which basically accounts differences in cost of living and purchasing power across different countries. Fine. So I hope it is clear to everyone. Now moving forward. Now what are the challenges where India is lagging? I told you that there is still scope of improvement with respect to India. So what are the areas where India needs to work upon? So different challenges are there as highlighted or as we have interpreted through the rankings in the report. So basically the first challenge is the inequality that has basically reduced our HDI. If we talk about inequality, then the report says that inequality has reduced India's HDI by 30.7%, which is one of the highest losses in the region. The second factor is basically the gender disparities, where we can see that the female labor force participation is at around 41.7%. Apart from that, the political representation continue to lag. When I say political representation, it means the representation of the women in the political scenario. For example, in the parliament, in the state legislature, or at the local self-government. Fine. So at different type of levels, we would say that the women's representation in India is somewhere lagging. I hope this point is also clear to you. Now let us talk about, if India's status is clear to you, now let us talk about the components of HDI. Fine, let us talk about the components of HDI in a detailed manner. I've already given you the overview, that long and healthy life, the knowledge, and also the standard of living. Now let us talk about that, what all do these different components include. And the first one is long and healthy life. So when we talk about long and healthy life, so this dimension captures the quality and longevity of life, which reflects basically through different kind of public healthcare measures or the public healthcare system that have been implemented by the government. It indicates that whether individuals have proper access to adequate healthcare, nutrition, sanitation, and healthy living conditions or not. Now, if you talk about the indicator, as I told you that under long and healthy life, we have this specific indicator, which is life expectancy and birth, which this is the indicator that we use. Through this indicator, we are able to know whether this parameter is healthy or not. So basically, the life expectancy at birth, it represents the average number of years a newborn is expected to live based on the current mortality. Fine. And if you talk about the dimension index, which is basically calculated based on this indicator, so over here you can see that the it is calculated in this manner that the life expectancy index is calculated using the minimum and maximum life expectancy values set by UNDP standards. Fine, which where the minimum is basically, I would say, I think it is 20 and the maximum is 85 years. Fine, so I think, yes, I've written it over here that the minimum is 20 and the maximum is 85 years. So you can calculate it like this. If you're not able to understand it, let me just simplify it. For example, if you want to calculate this life expectancy index, so for example, let us say the life expectancy of a country is 75 years. Fine, this is what the life expectancy at birth is. Fine, so how we can calculate the life expectancy index? For example, we can calculate it like 75 minus 20 divided by the maximum, which is 85, minus again 20, which is the, I would say, the minimum life expectancy, and it will be around, I would say, 0.76. Fine, so this is going to be the score of this index with respect to life expectancy index. Fine, and that is all about the long and healthy life. The second parameter is the knowledge. So over knowledge, it basically captures both current education levels as well as the future educational opportunities. So when we talk about the current education levels, so over here we have this first indicator, which is expected years of schooling, which indicates the number of years of education a child entering the school system is expected to complete, assuming the current enrollment rates persist. So if the current enrollment rate, it goes on, if it continues, then based on that we are able to calculate this expected years of schooling. Fine, which basically reflects the capacity and effectiveness of the education system. Fine, so for example, what is the ability of a certain education system to retain the students? Fine, it also provides us the information regarding the quality of infrastructure too. Fine, all these things are basically highlighted with the help of this expected years of schooling, which is going to tell us that what is the number of years of education a child entering the school is expected to complete. The next is mean years of schooling, which basically represents the historic and present educational attainment among the adult population. So it tells us that what is the average number of completed years of education among adults aged 25 and older. So that is something that we are going to see as a part of mean years of schooling. Now based on this average, we calculate this dimension index, which is the education index. Fine, which is calculated by taking the mean of the normalized value of expected years of schooling and the mean years of schooling, and the value of this education index is ranged between 0 and 1. Fine, so this is about knowledge. The third is about the decent standard of living. Of course, as the name suggests, it captures the economic prosperity and the financial means which reflect the ability of individuals to afford basic goods and the different type of services. Fine, and what is the indicator that we use for it? As we discussed earlier, the indicator is GNI per capita, based on the purchasing power parity. Fine, this is the indicator that we used, and based on the indicator we calculate this dimension index, which is GNI index, whose value is between 0 and 1, and basically it is calculated by normalizing the GNI values. Fine, and if we try to normalize this value based on the minimum and the maximum values as defined by the UNDP standards, based on that we are able to calculate this GNI index, of course between the 0 and 1 range. Fine, so that's how basically we calculate it. You don't have to enter a lot of details that what is the well-defined methodology with respect to the calculation of these components. You don't have to enter so much of details. You just have to understand that on the basis of what these indices and these indicators are calculated, and how basically they represent the different parameters as highlighted as the components of HDI. Fine, so this is something that you have to take it into consideration primarily. Now moving on to the next part. The next part is what could be the strategy for India's human development. What are the strategies that India can adopt as a part of the human development? Then over here, the first strategy that we can go for is the inclusive growth and social development, where India can continue investments in health, education and social protection. Fine, so through what kind of scheme? The schemes that we can promote in order to attain these kind of objectives. For example, the Ayushman Bharat. Fine, for example, the Ayushman Bharat, or it can be national education policy also. It can also be, I would say, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or Saubhagya scheme for the electricity. Fine, through different kind of advancement, through different kind of initiatives, what we can do, we can attain this inclusive growth and social development. Fine, so through this, what we will be able to do, we will be able to translate the economic growth into meaningful improvements in human capital, poverty reduction and well-being of all citizens. This is what we can attain with the help of that. The second type of strategy that we can go for is basically the empowering of women and reducing the gender gap. So with respect to this, what does the report suggest? The report suggests that we need to promote the gender equality. And what does it include? It includes implementing the new women's reservation in legislature effectively. You must be knowing that the government basically had launched this, or we can say this legislation was launched by the government, which is Nari Shakti Vandanam Abhiyan, which is nothing but, I would say, the reservation of women in legislature. And the report says that by such kind of initiatives, what we can do, we can improve the gender equality, we can improve the representation of women in the legislature, and that's how the participation of women in the governance as well as the decision making is going to get increased. Fine. The next point is basically, or the strategy that we can go for is leveraging the artificial intelligence responsibly. Fine. So the report also says that India needs to augment artificial intelligence, and through that, what it can do, it can basically embed the human values, and it can also go for ethical guidelines in artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence primarily should be used in order to augment the human jobs and not to replace the human jobs. And how that can be achieved? That can be achieved by basically skilling as well as reskilling. Fine. Skilling and reskilling both should be taken into consideration so that the skill levels of the individuals can be improved, so that basically the skill levels align with the demand of the industry. Fine. Which is basically, I would say, artificial intelligence is playing a very dominant role with respect to the present demands in the industry, and we need to bridge the gap between the industry and academia. Fine. That is what we can do by leveraging the artificial intelligence potential. And for this, the government, if you remember, the government also launched the national strategy for artificial intelligence that was basically launched by the Niti Aayog. So such type of strategies get taken into consideration in long term in order to strategize for India's human development. The fourth point is basically reducing the inequality and regional disparity. So what we need to do, we need to scale the initiatives like rural development, financial inclusion, nutrition and healthcare programs. For example, the government can promote initiatives like aspirational district program. You must be knowing about it. Fine. A very important initiative through which the government can reduce the inequality. Apart from that, the government can also go for Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. Fine. Such type of, I would say, rural development initiatives can also be taken into consideration, which can basically help in focusing upon uplifting the marginalized sections of the society. And we can invest in the lagging regions. And that's how we will be able to reduce the disparities among the different parts of the country. I hope it is clear to everyone. Fine. Now, if this is clear to you, let us move on to the last part, which is the conclusion. The HDI reflects progress in health, education and income. While India has made steady gains, challenges like inequality and gender gaps remain. As highlighted in the HDI 2025, India can improve its HDI by promoting the inclusive growth, empowering women, using AI responsibly, and reducing regional disparities. With focused policies and investments, India can achieve more equitable and sustainable human development. This is what India can do in the long run. Basically, we have summarized everything, and lastly, we have given a good way forward. As I always say, that you should try to write your own version of conclusion as a part of it. Now this is your homework. Why I'm giving you this as a part of your homework? Now this is not something that you have to write in the comment box. Fine. For the comment box, you have to write the answer to this question. This is your question for which you have to write the answer in the comment box. But this is the question that I want you to attempt. Fine. Why I'm saying so? Because if you look at the theme of the report. Fine. What is the theme of the report? The theme of the report is a matter of choice, people and possibilities in the age of AI. So the report is primarily talking about artificial intelligence, and that is why I'm suggesting you that you should prepare this question also. Fine. How can AI contribute to human development? At least just try to prepare one page note. एक पेज नोट बना लो descriptive के लिए, because this could be a question that can be asked in the examination, though I think there is not I would say the probability is not very much high because it is artificial intelligence based question. But last year also they asked a question with respect to AI in the banking sector, and since this is a theme of this very important HDI report, and that is why I thought that to be at the safer side you should try to prepare this parameter also. तो ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा, एक पेज नोट प्रिपेयर कर लो एंड दैट इज इट. एग्जाम से पहले उसको रिवाइज कर लेना, ठीक है, टू बी एट द सेफर एंड. आई होप इट इज क्लियर टू यू. नाउ दिस इज द पैटर्न, दिस इज द ब्लूप्रिंट दैट यू नीड टू फॉलो. write the introduction within 10 to 12% of the word limit, then the conclusion also, and the main body part to dedicate rest of the word limit. Fine. And you should try to write the answer in the form of points and not in the form of paragraphs. Give a heading, proper subheading, and write your answer in the form of different points. Fine. And try to give some data facts example also. For example, over here I have just written general statements, but I have also verbally stated the different type of schemes that can be there. Fine. For each and every initiatives I have said that, though I have not written over here, but you can write that. Fine. In order to add value addition as a part of your answer. And these are the EduTab blogs where you can find different informative articles as a part of it, and that is going to help you in the long run. So I hope it is clear to you. So thank you so much and all the best. There was some I would say technical glitch from our end with respect to live class, so this is the recorded session with respect to the previous session. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. So now we will meet on Wednesday. So thank you so much and all the best.